Hey folks, we're going to pick up now on part two of our YODA exercise. In part one, we went through the process of showing how to set your YODA up. I used Chat GPT. You can see I have it open here to where we left it. The only thing I've done is I've changed the name of the chat to the crop selection exercise, and we're going to use this chat that sits within the larger Johnson Farms project folder for our exercise. Remember, at the project folder level, we uploaded the YODA, the Thinking Like a Data Scientist, the 5 intelligence disciplines, and the operating manual. And then we inserted the behavioral activation prompt into the instructions. So we've now got a tool that's ready to take our problem. And the problem we're going to go after is Johnson Farms is trying to figure out what crops to plant next year. So we're gonna have lots of screens popping open. We'll explain them as we go through them, but I want you just to be prepared for small screens, but lots of things popping up. So step one is we want to upload our crop intention and context search. And so I can grab the prompt here, which I have in my exercise file, and I'm going to put it into my chat. And then I'm going to go into my shared drive and I'm going to find my crop setup and I'm going to upload that in here. And while it's uploading that into my chat, I want to open this up because I want to show you inside of this file. What I have done is I have inserted the prompt into the very first part, which is how to use this document, right? The problem with a lot of these Gen AI tools is there's no metadata attached to what you upload. And so one little workaround for that is where you can actually put instructions at the very front of the tool, because we're going to come back and reference again and again and ask you to continue to review these tools. And so review these documents. And so I'm going to upload my crop selection optimization document. You see a lot of content about what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm going to close this up and then I'm going to run this. And so that's my first step. Now I've loaded up the intent. I set the framework for on the problem I'm going to go solve. And I now have that in there and it's giving me a readback, right? And I'm not going to bore you with the readback, but it goes through what it tells you. It's confirming what it's got. Now, while it's doing this, I want to do one other thing. Now's the time that I want to actually enter my YODA reasoning state file into the project folder, right? I've got the conversation going. I'm going to wait for it to end. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to go into the project folder. I'm going to select Edit Project, and I'm going to add a file. I'm going to add the MD version of the reasoning state. I'm going to add that into my project settings. Now I've already got the conversation started. I've already got YODA set up. And so you can see it's already uploaded. I'm going to close this window. And now I'm going to give it a reasoning instructions, right? There's a prompt I want to use, pretty simple prompt that says, basically, I want you to reread the YODA reasoning state file and reapply it to the initiative. Now I'm going to apply it here, but the power of this prompt is any time that I see that my answers are starting to drift, or I feel like I've got a really important request to come up, I simply ask this prompt. And it's going to go through, it's going to check everything for me, and you can't use it too much. All it's basically saying is I know that my AI tool is going to mentally drift off. It's going to want to be drawn to the average conversation and forget about sometimes the stuff I put into the file, into the chat about what I'm really trying to do. So you can see here, it comes back and says, oh, I'm re-anchoring around what you gave me, and it's giving me a readout of what I've already given it. And so again, I always, beginning of day, I always enter my restate prompt to make sure it's resetting. And throughout the day, I'll do it 1 or 2 times as well. It doesn't cost anything, right? It's free and it's not going to burn up cycles. And so it gives me a chance to make certain that the tool, my YODA tool and this chat is staying focused on the problem I'm trying to go after. So now my second one. So I've got that set. I've entered my intent, my context. I've got the reasoning state established at the project level. I now go to the next level. And what I want to do here is I want to now I need to go and basically tell it my priorities, right? And again, I can change the priorities throughout the exercise, but for a lot of what I want to do, I want to enter some priorities. And so I'm going to copy this prompt into here. And heck, no, I'm going to also do, I'm going to copy the slide in here as well. So I have it in here. And so now I give it my prioritization. And again, throughout the exercise, especially near the end, you're going to want to play with prioritization to see what kind of impact that has. But so now if the tool doesn't have prioritizations, if you don't tell it what's important, guess what it's going to do? It's going to make up its own prioritizations. And so it's important for you as a user to stay in control of the tool and to set what I'm trying to accomplish. If you don't do it, it'll do it for you. And so it's going through the process. Come on, Chat GPT, you can do it, baby. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get ready for the next set, which is I'm going to basically input a bunch of credible, trusted research around the problem I'm trying to solve. And so I'm going to go back to my file. If the chat ever comes back, it's really thinking hard. It's harder than it needs to. I'm going to actually close this folder up. And these are the 5 files I want to upload into the process. Here we got, okay, good. So I'm going to upload these 5 research initiatives. So I went out and I used Google search to find stuff that I could trust. It comes from Iowa State, it comes from University of Illinois, it comes from think tanks. And I want to update as part of step 2A, credible market research. This is important because this is where I start to build that contextual knowledge base that activates this concept of identity as attraction. I'm telling it what's important. Your Gen AI tool has access to all sorts of information, but I'm saying this is the most important stuff. And when you start going out finding other things, find stuff that's highly correlated to this. And so I'm going to enter these in. Again, I'm going to give it a prompt. I'm going to tell it I've uploaded my trusted framework. Now I want you to use this information. This is my trusted relevant research. I'm going to close this and type it into here, and it's going to now process and set this as my true north. Again, this allows me to activate the Gen AI concept of identity as attraction. And it now is using this for, give me an ad to get pro. We'll skip that for now. So I've got a foundation on this is the industry information that I think is most pertinent to me. I don't want stuff on the Kardashians or Taylor Swift. I want stuff on this. So I've got external research. Now what I need to do in step 2B is go away. I don't need this. Not sure why I opened that. I want to go and bring in organizational content. And so I'm going to go out, and this is where the thinking like a data scientist methodology, steps 1 and step 2, really help me to build it out. So I'm going to enter the prompt in here. I'm going to go back to, I have this knowledge base here. I'm going to load it in here. And while it's loading up, I'm going to open it, show you what's inside here. So if you know the thinking like a data science methodology, steps 1 and 2 are really about understanding your business initiative, what you're trying to accomplish, your desired outcomes, your benefits, limitations, the KPIs and metrics. There's a version we've created that really goes into a lot more detail if you've got a larger group. So think about bringing a bunch of domain experts together in a collaboration process, saying that, hey, my problem is I'm trying to improve crop selection. What should my desired outcomes be? What should be my limitations, my benefits? And then we look at that from a stakeholder perspective as well, and get into a lot of detail on the stakeholders, what they want. Again, you can blow this out. The more detail you have, the better. The more granularity you have in stakeholders. For example, we have farmer as primary. Well, ideally, what we'd do in my class, we'd say, well, there's corporate farmers, there's small farmers, there's college-educated younger farmers, and there's farms that have been in the family for over 100 years. I'm going to have 4 different types of stakeholders, because the more granularity you provide to the YODA tool, including the stakeholder level, the more granular and actionable the results we're going to get. So this all got loaded up into here, right? And it's processed, it read it, it's got it, it's all good. I love it. Perfect. So let's go to the next step. Now, the next step is really the 5 personalities, right? The personas, the disciplines that set the behaviors, right? We uploaded this at the project level. I don't need to do anything here because every chat is going to inherit these 5 characteristics. It's going to question like Socrates. It's going to empathize like Jesus. It's going to question and think like Mr. Spock. It's going to act as his long-term steward, and it's going to reason like Aristotle. I don't need to do anything. I just sort of want to make you aware it's there. The next step, I think, is really creative. And this is where I want to start bringing in experts, right? So I'm going to bring in, convey a series of experts around farming. And I've basically built personas, I call them scouting cards, for each of these 5, 6 different experts in farming. So I went out and did some research. I'm going to open up one of them in a second. I want to get this thing started. So let's go back to the prompt, which is found here. And so here's the prompt I'm telling. I want I want it to have a debate between these experts. Because here's the key thing about this step 4. Innovation comes from conflict. I want to bring in 4 different perspectives and have them debate. I want them to have a debate. I want them to mine the conflict. I want to look for cross-pollination. I want to challenge the norms. I want to test first principles. And then I want to stress test and rank these. So I'm going to enter this in, and I'm going to go peek at one while it runs its thing. So it's going to go start building all kinds of great stuff for me. Now, let me give you an example of one of these personas, what it might look like. Let's take a look at whoever, Dr. Armack. We know about him. Oh boy, just wanted one of them. There I got Armack. They're all going to open up. So basically, if each one of these things I've created using basically YODA to go do research on each of these experts. This is Dr. Ratan Lal. He's an expert on productivity and carbon, land productivity. Here's his information about him. Here's a series of links that YODA can actually read to bring his expertise or this person's expertise into the process. And so again, I'm going to leverage. So here's more of a fun example of this concept. So I use 6 farming experts, right? Let's say you had a product design challenge and you wanted to bring in 4 product design experts. Well, I could bring in Steve Jobs. I could bring in Johnny Ive, who built the iPod. I could bring in Dave Kelly, who founded IDEO. And I can bring in Leonardo da Vinci, who's a great innovator, right? And I can ask these 4 people to basically the same questions, have a debate, look at their different conflicts and mine it, look to cross-pollinate, challenge the norm, embrace first principles in the stress test. So again, this is the process here. I'm going to close these down. You can see it. And now I've got, go back to YODA here. And now it's got me a whole bunch of questions. And so now it's going to ask me questions, and I'm not going to go through the process here, but it's basically, the classification and blah, 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 this and that. So you can go through the process as well. But what we're doing now is we're building out this contextual knowledge base. We already have one established at the project level that sets behaviors, but within the context of the chat we're going after, I can now start building expertise around this crop selection problem. So imagine you have another kind of problem. Who are the 4 or 5 or 6 experts across industries and history that you might want to bring in for this debate? So let's go forward. So that is this slide again, go away. Now we're going to go into synthesize. So I want an answer. So based on everything I got in, I'm going to basically give it a prompt and tell me, what do you recommend? Right? And I give it some formatting options, and it's going to go through the process, and it's going to build out a table. It looks kind of like this. And what I can do is I can go through a bunch of different scenarios. So this is sort of the standard one. Then I can ask it about, well, what's the impact on the drought? I can start doing what ifing. And this is where the YODA really starts to shine. I can do what ifing, but it's going to not just what if randomly. It's going to what if on what my intention and intentions were and my context were that I established in step 1. It's going to leverage all that knowledge I've put in about the industry, credible research sources from step 2A. It's going to bring in that organizational domain knowledge from step 2B. It's going to leverage what it's learned from the experts who have argued and debated and ideated and come up with a solution. And it's going to look like this. There's the answer for it, recommendation. And again, you can ask a bunch of different questions. By the way, in the end, you can actually build you can vibe code this. And I'm not going to show you the vibe code now. We're going to save that for later. But again, you can go through each of the different scenarios. And this is where I'm not done, by the way. I've just started. So I've just built now a AI thinking partner around crop selection that I can use to help me explore. I might want to bring in other research. I might want to bring in other domain knowledge from other people I have access to. Now that I can see what the domain knowledge does, I might want to go out and get a whole bunch more about what my organization thinks and does. I might want to explore other experts and what they've got, debate there. And I might want to synthesize across a bunch of different scenarios where then I capture the scenarios and I upload them back so the system is constantly learning. So again, kind of a long, lots of screens that popped up at you and such, but this really sort of shows you how a chat works, the steps you're going to walk through. And once you've gone through the first 3, step 1 to set the intent, step 2 to build your domain knowledge, step 3, which is if it's there, step 4, my experts, now I can start exploring and start learning, start doing what ifing. So I hope you found this valuable. This is where it gets interesting. Again, think about this example in context of the problem you're trying to resolve, right? And that problem might be around customer retention or reducing inventory costs or improving water quality, whatever the problem might be. Think about this process we just went through, capture this information, and I think you'll find that at the end of this, you'll have a tool, an AI thinking partner that's not done, but now is a partner that can help you collaborate as you explore other scenarios, other solutions to the problem you're trying to resolve. Thanks for listening, and watch this space.